understand the reason for World Day, Food Day, I'm going to have to give you some statistics and put it into perspective for you, because the more I read about this topic in the last few days, the more I grew concerned myself. Because I don't think we actually understand the gravity of what faces humanity if we don't look at our food security for the future. I mean, for example, the sub-Saharan Africa alone, 14% of the food is being lost from the post-harvest up to the retail level. 14% is going to waste. That in itself is a shocking figure, but if we go to the World Food Day in South Africa, and in October 2014, the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries declared October the Food Security Month. The objective of this declaration was to create a platform for heightening public awareness on issues pertaining to food security in our own country. The South African government also went out to set their objectives for the World Food Day, which includes the following: to inform South Africans of the national policy on food and nutritional security, to heighten public awareness on issues such as absence of and scarcity of food in the country, and to strengthen solidarity in the struggle against hunger, malnutrition and poverty, to promote food production and to stimulate national, bilateral, transnational and non-governmental initiatives, to encourage research and technology development for the development of symbiotic ecological food production systems to ensure sustainable food production. These are just a few of them. Have we truly managed to fight off hunger in our communities? Do we truly understand the implications of losing the fight for food security? I honestly do not believe that the world has woken up to the reality that because of our actions as human beings, we are threatening our own existence. Overpopulation and the incredible increase in, annually of new lives being brought into this world is already putting pressure on the food supplies. The ever-increasing demand for land, for housing, and the demolishing of natural forests is causing imbalances in our ecosystem. And although many deny the ever-changing climate around the world, the loss of important species and insects, bacteria and animals are all contributing towards putting pressure on the already fragile situation. Less and less people are willing to become farmers because it's becoming harsh. Being a farmer in today's life is not easy, and yet it's such a vital part of our future existence. As South Africans, we seem to be oblivious to some of the realities taking place outside of our country. We see people flocking over our borders from neighboring countries, and at first we embrace them, but we do not realize that they are actually coming to South Africa because of their own country's inability to feed them, therefore putting more pressure on South Africa. I'm going to give you some statistics now, which I hope puts everything into perspective for you. South Africa as a country, or should I say Africa as a continent, is as big as Asia. However, South Africa in itself is only 10% of the size of China. 96 million square kilometers is what China is made up of. And do you know what the sad part about it is? That only 12% of China is arable. However, that 12.5% or 12% feeds 20% of the world's population. South Africa in itself is 1.2 million square kilometers. And sadly, although we drive from town to town and we see this vast space and we think we should be in heaven, did you know that only 13% of South Africa's surface can be used for farming. Does that put something in perspective for you? 13% of 1.2 million square kilometers is all we have to produce food for South Africa. And sadly, at this stage, we are unable to sustain our own population. And more than 1/3 of all food being distributed in South Africa currently is being brought into the country. I'm not saying this to make anybody depressed or anything, but those are the realities that we're faced with, ladies and gentlemen. And World Food Day is actually there to make us realize that we need to do something, not tomorrow, not next year, but today. Yourselves as organizations, I take my hat off to you for listening to the plight of people in need. But I always also say to myself, poverty is one thing, but what if you've got the money and there's no food to buy? What if we have all the means to secure food, but there is nothing for people to eat? And that is one of the realities we as humanity have to understand. We cannot continue with the population explosion that is currently taking place. If I take the bottom line, is that Africa's population is currently approximately 1.1 billion people. That's just Africa. 1.1 billion people in Africa. And out of the 86 countries that are defined as low income and food deficient, 46 of those countries are African. That is shocking. Because currently, Africa's total population works out at about 10% of Asia's, but we're growing faster than China at the moment. And why do you think the Chinese are spreading their wings to different countries? Because they cannot continue the way that they are at the moment. Did you know, just as a matter of interest, that in Japan, the average living space for a single individual, what do you think it is? They maintain that the average living space for an individual in Japan is 25 square meters. In other words, 5 by 5. That is your living space. And yet, in Africa, we're expecting to have hectares. We're expecting 900 by 900 meters just for the house. And yet the Japanese are living, 2 people in a property of 55 square meters. Maximum 75. Maximum. I did a lot of research because obviously it's something that bothers me, because if I look on a day-to-day basis, being the portfolio counsellor for community and social development, and I see the number of people on the streets currently, is only the tip of the iceberg of the people that are actually suffering from hunger. We feed, as a municipality currently, 136 nutritional centers in George alone, which equates to 136,000 meals a month, just through our nutritional centers. But ladies and gentlemen, that is only, again, tip of the iceberg. I don't have the answers. But when I was doing my research for today, I searched everywhere for a quote which I thought would make a difference today. I looked on Google, I searched on pictures, and I've entered in vast numbers of variations on the Google word search. And I couldn't find something that I actually thought stood out for me. So I came up, and I'd like to conclude with this today, with something of my own. And my quote for today is, in a world obsessed with survival, I find it strange that we value growing the size of our families more than we value the ability to feed them. Nothing can survive without food. And today we say protect our right to live by protecting the land that feeds us. But we are also saying that nothing prevents us as individuals to make an impact by being responsible for protecting the environment around us and to grow our own basic nutrients. But we need to start by picking up the waste and the refuse that is going into our systems, that is killing our country's resources naturally. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed what I had to say. And yes, today is not a celebration of Food Day. It's a remembrance of people who are suffering, and we're about to say to them, we stand by you and we will do what we can to secure food for the future for everybody. But everybody needs to take hands. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
In all honesty,